Thanks for having me. My passion isn't obviously in healthcare. I want to help my patients. I've been working in the state of Texas, and I'm honored to say that I'm working for the Texas Medical Association to help them implementing AI. And so, let's see if we got the volume. If not, let me go back, because I want... No. If not, we'll just skip the audio, but it's a shame, because it's really funny and cool. And I know they're thumbing through. All right, well, it's all good. Well, I'll push through and I'll go back to it, I promise, so that we can get going, because I have some slides to cover. So why am I so passionate about AI? Are you able to get it? It's not me, I promise. See the AI gods again. So this is a good time to download the app, and then you can start complaining right now about my presentation. But if not, did you get it? No. Here, I'll push through, and then, because I have a lot of audio and a lot of video. So if you want to fix it, sorry. All right, we'll go back. So anyway, going back to this person, this poor little kid, his name is Alex, and he unfortunately think of this little kid playing around, having fun, and all of a sudden, his medical condition started declining. And for over 3 years, he went to 17 doctors. No one could figure out what was wrong with this poor little kid. And so he went from running around to in a wheelchair, not being able to do anything. And so mom, after seeing 17 doctors, she did what any other parent would do. She went right to AI, and she said, hey, I'm desperate. I don't know what's wrong with my kid. And so she took all the symptoms, all the test reports, put it into AI, and within seconds it said it could possibly be this disease. She went to the doctor, and the doctor verified and said, yep, we missed it. This is what's wrong with him. Kid had surgery. Now he's recovered. Now he's an active kid. Now he's good. And so this is the one slide I always say, this is why I'm really excited about AI. In this world, we're here obviously for automation and efficiency, and I can tell you as an ER doctor, and at one point I had 8 locations of emergency rooms, it's all about efficiency. To me is, how can I automate these things? How can I have more time with you? If I'm busy doing all the clerical stuff, all the busyness, that takes time away from you. At the end of the day, you come to see the doctor not to do the paperwork. You come to see the doctor to talk to the doctor. Unfortunately, we only get 13 minutes with our healthcare professionals. That's it. And so my goal is let's do a better job. Obviously, in AI, we see it everywhere. We see it in your medical records. We see it in patient communication, diseases, education. And I'm flying through this because I want you to see the rest of the presentation. When we're coming to automation, the predictive analytics is huge. Could you imagine me working in the emergency room and knowing ahead of time that there's an outbreak of X or Y disease, or maybe there's a food outbreak? This automation is key in making my life better, as well as when I'm submitting claims. At one point, I had 60 physicians, and my payroll was something right crazy. It was like $3-4 million a month. And so I relied on my accounts receivables. So the sooner I got paid, the better, because I was able to pay my physicians, pay my the establishment, my expenses. Predictive analytics is huge. There's a thing called Gatortron and New Yorktron, and the skinniest this. They took all this clinical data, and they put it into AI, and now before you get discharged, I can use that data to say, you know what? You're very similar to patient X, and this patient should not be discharged for the following reasons. So now I'm able to use predictive analytics to make sure you shouldn't be sent home, or maybe the opposite, maybe you should be sent home. It's able to tell me, hey, this person's at risk for dying for sepsis before it even happens. And so I'm really excited about seeing these predictive analytics. This crazy slide, these are all the startups that came out this year. That's just this year. And these are all the different verticals. So that's just crazy to think how many companies are out there. This one's really exciting for me personally, because I'm thinking, wow, if I can diagnose a patient or if I could tell a patient they're going to have Parkinson's disease 7 years before it actually happens, that's amazing. So there's a blood test now that we can check to make sure you do have Parkinson's, or you will have a propensity for it. And I know some of you guys out there are like, oh, I don't know if I want to know that one. But some of us, we may want to know ahead of time, because now maybe I can do some research, maybe I can study it, maybe there's some things I can do to prevent it. And if I have 7 years ahead of time, if I can push it for later, man, what a blessing. As we move forward, again, Cleveland Clinic, again, they're using pre-authorization with just against the accounts receivables and just being able to get that automation in process. When we look at these models, it's crazy. I'm real curious out there. Do you guys use AI once a day, once a week? Okay, that gives me an idea of the audience. Cool. As you can see, these sizes represent how big these models are. So obviously some are really big, some are really small. Some are so small they fit on your phone. And so as I start looking at this, I'm like, wow, what are these things are going to do in the future? And I want to point out that these different models, think of it as IQ. The models are below what we would have as an average IQ. Our IQ is somewhere between 90 and 110. Some of these other models are getting better and better, and they're getting to the point where they're above possibly the human average. When I say IQ, think of it this way. We have Elon Musk, we have all these different Einstein, and we're thinking, man, this would be great to be able to bounce these ideas off. I'm going to encourage you today to think of AI as a partner. Someone that is going to supplement you. Kind of like when we get married, we marry someone opposite of us that helps us be more. That's how I see AI. There's things that I'm doing with AI, and I'll show you some examples to help me. And think of it as if this is someone smarter or has a higher IQ in certain areas that I don't, this will help me supplement. These are the different models, and as you can see, back GPT-2 had a lower IQ, and then as it's getting bigger and bigger, the models are getting higher and higher. The human expert is around 89.8%, and then you can see these predictive models getting better. This is my favorite slide, this human expert slide. What it says is the following. They ask patients, or they ask people questions, and then this was the answer from the human expert. It was between 3 and 5, and that was the average quality that people rated. Then they said, I'm going to ask the same question, but I'm going to give you just ChatGPT 4 answer. And that got a higher answer, a quality. People like that answer more than the human. But then this is the best part. The little red divot that you see there, they took that same human, they put the ChatGPT 4, and then they got a better result and then a higher quality. Are we back on? Okay. And so this is the one take-on slide. If you fall asleep for the rest of the talk, this is the one slide that I say this is the key. I truly believe that it's human plus AI will beat the best AI or the best human. Because we're leveraging all your years of working, all the stuff that you've gone through, the human aspect, but then we're augmenting it with AI. We're not replacing a human. We're not saying the human is bad. We're saying together you're going to have the best results. And so when we look at reducing costs and we're looking at how can I use AI automation, this is the key. Being able to augment us. As a healthcare professional, as a doctor, the more AI can do the repetitive work, the more time I get with you. Now, this was fun. I cloned my face. I just came back from South Africa, and I love the accent. And let me play it for you if it works. No. Darn it. Darn it. All right, it's all good. Big picture, as we're looking at knowledge, as a doctor, my main thing is I need to learn information. Every 30 days, medical data doubles. That's just absurd. If I was a doctor in the 1950s, I could literally take 20 years off and just chill and come back and nothing has really changed. If I do that now, that's called malpractice because things have changed so much. And so as we start looking at this, there's all this cool technology, and I want to leverage this technology to help our patients. This is a bot, and it's called Sarah. The World Health Organization created this bot. It's available, I always forget how many languages, 8 languages, available 24/7. And the skinny is this. It's helping with people that are smoking, so hey, it'll walk you through not smoking. It's helping you with exercise. And let's see if the demo works. No, but it's okay. The next one is I created this little thing called MIDI Helper. How many times have you gone to the doctor and then you got home and you're like, darn it, I forgot to ask X, Y, Z. So what I did for my patients is a simple bot. It's free, not advertising, just something I did for my patients to simply say, hey, before you come see me, ask the bot, your medical questions. What do you want to know? What do you want to explore? Almost be prepared. So if you only get 13 minutes, man, when you come see me, now we're ready to go. And then I'm even telling them, bring your laptop. And so when we talk, we can have your laptop open. If I'm not explaining it correctly, let's use AI. And I don't take an insult. Maybe I'm not a good explainer at X, Y, and Z, but maybe it needs a certain voice. And I'll show you some examples. When we look at administrative tasks, obviously, this, you saw the figures just now, it's millions of dollars that we're able to save. So the more efficient I can become, the better. And I made that example earlier with the ERs. Time saving, man, if I could save my nurses 45% time to spend more time with their patients, I knew you guys as patients would love that. I mean, who wouldn't want more time with their physician or healthcare professional? For me, that's what I mentioned, the whole example of having a computer out. I truly believe that a lot of us do not take our medicine or do not follow our doctor's instructions because we really don't understand. So I'm advocating to my physicians out there and healthcare providers, let's put on some VR glasses to our patients. Let's show them their CAT scan. Let's show them their heart. That way when they see what's going on in their blood vessels and they can actually be in that world, they're like, oh, wait, maybe I should take my meds from now on. But it's just a little bit of prevention, but it goes a far way. Prior authorization, like I mentioned earlier, huge. Unfortunately, it's the world we live in. I wish I could just give medicine for free because I love what I do. But at the end of the day, I have bills that I have to pay my employees and whatnot and my team. So this is so important to me. Let's see if we got the video back up or the audio. No.
Limitless pendant preserving conversation.
Let's go back.
Limitless pendant preserving conversations, lunch meetings, conferences, client calls, or doctor visits, personal reflection, verbal processing, thinking out loud, capturing a thought while your hands are busy, organizing the unexpected, to-dos, reminders, or just reliving precious moments. Agenda HIPAA compliant. So
there's this little thing called the pendant limitless. I don't have any stock in it. I just thought it was a cool idea. It's this little clip that they'll have. And now when you see your doctor, the whole thing is transcribed. How cool. Because again, I call it that tunnel vision moment. When the minute I tell a patient, unfortunately, you have cancer or a life-threatening disease or something big, I know that at that moment, they're not listening to me. It's too much information. It's emotional overload. At that point, they're saying, I don't know what he said. And then I know when they go home, they're going to have questions. So now I'm saying, man, if I had a device like this that recorded the entire conversation, take it to the next step. If I could clone my face, clone my voice, that's a better accent than my accent. But if I give that to my patients, and now it's 2 in the morning, and they're like, oh my gosh, what did Dr. Castro tell me? Now they can play it. Now they can see it. And it could be my voice and my tone. Other thing I did for my kids, pediatric population that I see, is I take the core discharge instructions. You know that when you go to the doctor, they give you this stack of papers, and I'm sure half of you guys don't read them, because I don't. But if you have a child that has a 30-second attention span, how does a doctor teach a child? Or do I tell the parents and then the parents teach the kid? So what I thought, what if I took the discharge instructions, take the core concepts, put it into AI, then I take those core concepts and then I put them into a coloring book. And now when I have a kid, I can give the kid a coloring book and we can draw together, we can explain the disease process, now they're understanding. And then I thought, well, it'd be great to give everybody coloring books, but what about a teenager? So then they really like when I do comic strips for them. So then I give them a personalized comic strip for their discharge instructions. Then I thought, well, you know, that's cool, but the adults, they're not gonna like that. So then I clone my voice, and basically what I can do now is I can educate my patients. I can take any journal with my voice. It's called the GPT podcast, and it literally will make an audio for them. And so I can educate them, I can do blogs for them, and it's all with my voice, which is pretty cool to do. This is just a clone audio, so you can hear how good it is.
Correct inhaler technique for children. Managing asthma triggered by sports. Communicating asthma symptoms to adults.
And then that's a clone voice. That's not my voice. I even played that for my mom, and my mom's like, hey, good job. I was like, Mom, that's not me. The other thing, I'm big on pediatrics, as you can tell. Here's this plushie. And what I did is I'm working with a hospital system that wants to help their kids that understand better what they're going through. So we're adding AI to this little plushie as an example. And now that child can say, hey, I'm having blood tests today. What does that mean? Hey, I'm having a CAT scan. What is that? And now it's talking to them in their voice. It could be their favorite character, and we're going back and forth. Sorry about the AV issues we're having today. This one's really cool, and at the same time, I know it's a little scary. What this idea is the following. I could take anyone's picture here. I can take any audio that you give me. I put them together, and it'll make this video. Microsoft is holding back on this technology until after the elections, but I'm pretty sure this will be out after the elections. Now, let's see if we can get this to work.
Have you ever had, maybe you're in that place right now where you want to turn your life around, and you know somewhere deep in your soul, there could be some decisions that you have to make. Like, you know, like it's like things,
Isn't that
something
crazy?
was decided for
That was
you,
just that
and
picture and
instead of
audio.
trying-
And it changed the muscles of her face, inflection, her blinking. It looks pretty darn good. Now, I know that's scary, but from a doctor's point of view, I'm like, how cool if I use that for good? How cool if I use that for my discharge instructions? So that tunnel vision moment that I told you where I can give now my patients this way of communicating. I think that'll be so much better. I'll play one of these for you. And it just shows you the
The first thing we need
different
to
levels.
look at is the letter
Same
H,
thing.
so the sound at the beginning. It depends what country you're from, but many native languages have a problem with
And then
putting
I'll
too much
skip.
tightness in the throat.
I do stand-up all the
It can
time.
become
I'm
more
a
of
stand-up comedian, improviser.
So-
like I say. You had me on-
You can still play in it. I'm just skipping ahead to keep going. Obviously, I'm more worried about our patients. I'm not worried about my doctors because at the end of the day, I know they have a license to practice medicine. I'm more worried about my patients that they have this technology and they're like, okay, well, ChatGPT told me I have cancer, or ChatGPT told me I have this diagnosis, because they're not doctors. AI is not a doctor, licensed as a doctor. And so I made this little algorithm, and you can hit me up and I'll give it to you. The skin is just kind of help you navigate the waters. At the end of the day, we need to keep a doctor in the loop. So no matter what output's out there, I'm telling my patients, make sure you run it by your doctor to make sure that that is correct. On the bad side, HIPAA compliance issues. Obviously, that's a big one. Last year, someone on Samsung put their having trouble with code, and for programming, they put it into ChatGPT and then didn't realize that that was IP information that they literally just gave to ChatGPT. So obviously we need to be careful with these things. Cybersecurity came up this morning. Obviously that's a big deal, and HIPAA reasons, there's so much information there, and so we need to make sure that we're conscious about this. With my younger doctors, I'm really on them about this AI dependency. I'm very worried about doctors that are coming up the ranks that don't have that clinical gestalt, that 20 years of experience that say, well, AI said this, it's got to be right. And so I'm having to exchange them, teach them and exchange conversation about, make sure they'll become dependent. When I went through med school and when I started practicing, my favorite doctors were the foreign doctors. Why? Because those doctors spent time with their patients, they did clinical exams, because they didn't have a CAT scan MRI back home. They didn't have these toys, I call it here in the States. But now, fortunately, I've talked to some doctors and they just order tests, and they don't talk to the patient. And I'm like, that makes no sense to me. And so I'm worried that this ChatGPT or these AI, we're gonna become more and more dependent. Ironically, damn if I do, damn if I don't. I'm seeing some cases out there where if I don't use AI, I could be in trouble legally. If I do use AI, I could be in trouble legally. Give you a quick example. As an ER doctor, one of my colleagues has this cool feature at his hospital, and it's basically you walk into the hospital and you get immediate, if you have a stroke-like symptoms, the AI is immediately reading that CAT scan and texting the radiologist, texting the team saying, no, we see a bleed. Let's bump this to the top so that a human can look at that CAT scan. In places that don't have this, if there's a lot of patients there, it may cause somewhat of a delay, and that delay can cause issues. And I thought, man, if hospital across the street has this technology and I don't have this technology, I could be liable at one point for not providing this. So in the next year, I predict we're going to start seeing all these AI tools and people claiming that that now is the standard of care. So it'll be interesting to see how we move forward. Again, as we move forward, the data leaks, the decision matrix, I want to make sure doctors and the humans are in the loop. I want to make sure that patients are aware that AI is being used. A lot of patients don't realize AI is being used, and I think we need to be transparent with our population. On one of the things about the unknown, I always talk about, and since we got the audio fix, I'll go back to the first slide because I really want you to see it. On the unknown portion, I really, really believe that we're going to start seeing AI used outside of the U.S. more than we do here in AI, in healthcare, specifically in the United States. Why? Because of the lobbyists, because of the things, and the risk versus benefits analysis, things will happen. I'll give you a quick example. If I'm in, say, Africa, developing country, and I have a village that has zero healthcare, I'm more apt to use AI and bring in one human in that area to give healthcare to that village. That won't happen, something like that won't happen here in the States. But I truly believe we're going to start seeing applications that we're like, whoa, we should be doing that here in the States. So in the next year, you're going to start seeing more and more of this occurring. This small language model, I think is really cool. AI will fit, some of the AI will fit here. Quick example as a doctor, what could fit on this? Imagine you were at the Grand Canyon, unfortunately someone passes out, you don't know CPR, this could have CPR on it. It could look at the patient, tell you, you know what, you're going too slow, go faster. This is the rhythm, this is how you do CPR. Literally can save a life. That same scenario, as the satellites are going over the Grand Canyon, you can literally point to the satellites and then text all on your phone, save a life. And now the helicopter can come and save that person. So I truly believe this thing is going to change the world. This is a little advanced, but it's kind of, I just want to plant the seed for you to understand. There's this thing called AI agents. Give you an example. In the pharmacy world, there's different ways of developing a medication, and the skinny is this. Different agents have different tasks, and different agents, one of them can be doing research, another one could be doing the testing, another one can be doing how that would work and the FDA approval, and then all these agents are talking to each other, all virtually, to create drugs. And so this workflow, we're going to start seeing more and more of that. For sure next year, you'll be seeing a lot of it. As we move forward, I'm all about how can we help humanity? How can we help people? Believe it or not, my voice here alone, if you had the algorithm, you'd be able to know if I'm a pre-diabetic or not. You'd be able to tell if I'm depressed or not. And I'll show you a slide about that in a minute. But imagine that information in the eyes of the robot. Right now we have, by the year 2030, we're going to have about 18 million healthcare professionals short. We need more doctors. We need more professionals. We need something. As the aging population continues and our workforce starts declining, we're going to have a bigger and bigger gap. When that starts getting worse, I'm worried we're going to start hearing more stories about people dying in the ER, getting worse care, and so something needs to happen. That something, in my opinion, is AI. With that said, I know this is a touchy subject, but I truly believe that robots is going to come into play. It will come in by the year 2026. And why do I say that? Elon Musk, their goal is to have a robot between 10K and 20K. And I know that my aging nurses want to retire. Why? Because their backs are out. It's too much hard labor for them. And they're like, I love medicine, but I just can't keep up with the physical labor. And so I truly believe what's going to happen is going to be a robot that's going to help lift the patients, help that nurse's back, help give the medications, be that extra set of eyes. As a doctor, I truly believe I'll have a robot next to me, and the robot will be able to say, hey, your patient's sugar is high. Hey, your patient's blood pressure is high. Hey, when he or she said that, she actually lied to you. And this is why I know, because it's analyzed. And I know that sounds a little creepy, but as a doctor, I want to give the best care. So the more information I have, the better. Other example would be, as I'm doing my physical exam, I may have forgotten X, Y, Z, and then the robot maybe sends me a text or my virtual glasses and says, hey, check the ears, you forgot to do this because of this reason. So I truly believe that's what's going to happen. This is really interesting. Let's see if we can get this video to play. But basically,
you're going to be able to control Spotify and Amazon Music with voice alone. We are also adding new app integrations from Audible and iHeartRadio so that you can easily access more and more content from the glasses. We're making it more natural and conversational. So now, instead of having to say, look and tell me when you want to use the camera or use multimodal AI, you're just going to be able to say, hey, Meta, what kind of smoothie can I make with these? And instead of having to keep saying, hey, Meta, every time you want to talk to it, you're just going to be able to keep the conversation.
Hey, ¿cómo estás? ¿Cómo está tu rodilla? ¿Has vuelto a entrenar?
Hey, how are you? How is your knee back training?
Doing well. Knee is doing well. It feels strong. I'm ramping up training. How are you doing? Are you getting ready for your next fight?
Haciendo bien. La rodilla está haciendo bien y sentirse fuerte. Estoy aumentando el entrenamiento. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Te estás preparando para tu próxima pelea?
Sí, estoy listo.
Awesome.
Yes, I am ready.
Anyway, I just want to show you that demo. So that's real time, these glasses going back and forth, just translating. With this, I can take a picture, I can take videos. If I have an EKG in front of me, I can take it, and as long as it's HIPAA compliant, I can have it analyze that EKG. If it doesn't have any identifiers, and say, this is what I think it is. And so these glasses, I think, are going to be helpful. In the medical world, being able to take a picture of an x-ray and then the x-ray analyze and say, hey, it's this. I put an EKG just for fun, and it read it just like a medical student. The drugs, this was about 1.5 years ago that I did this. I started taking pictures of different medications, and of the 4, it identified one correctly. The other one it hallucinated, the other 2 it got wrong. But that's what 1.5 years ago. If you put the correct data into this, it would get it right 100% of the time. As we move forward, I really think it's going to be a combination of AI. We're going to start seeing them. So for better or worse, we need to be able to get ready for this future that's coming. When we look at the Apple Vision Pro, that's another device that's out there. I really think when I was a medical student, it was always see one, do one, teach one, meaning I had to see the first time how to intubate a patient, then I had to do it, and then I had to teach it. And I thought, this is crazy. I'm literally doing something that I read about, but I'm doing it for the first time. My thing in medicine, what if now, and including your industry, what if now I can put these VR glasses and I can practice 100 times before I actually touch a patient? And so these things are going to be really good. Again, for patients' interaction, I think that's going to be great for my discharge instructions, workflows. This is another interesting slide. A lot of people don't know about this technology. They trained AI with images. And so now when I think of a certain image, I send brain signals. And those brain signals can be interpreted and they can be put into a model. And so imagine someone that had a stroke that cannot speak and they're thinking of things. Those waves are going into AI through a device called fMRI or EEGs combination, and then it'll make that image. And so what's crazy is that that's just on the left. It's the picture, and then the picture on the right is what the AI thinks you're thinking. And it's pretty darn close. Obviously, some of these are way off, but this is where we're at. I mean, it's just crazy to think about this. But as a doctor, I'm thinking, man, how cool if I have a patient that hasn't been able to speak, now being able to speak to their loved ones through their thoughts. I thought, man, that's going to be the way of the future. I then bring my human AI pin, but basically it's a little tiny pin. I can take pictures, text. It has horrible reviews, so don't buy one. But the reason I'm sharing it is you can translate. And so I can literally hit a button. I would speak in Spanish or English, and then it would translate to whatever language I need. So it's pretty cool. It's just a proof of concept, but again, that's already going to be on your iPhone. That's going to be on mobile devices, but just the idea that these things are getting better and better. I brought my Rabbit R1. This is pretty cool. It has just this voice command feature. So if I need as an ER doctor, if I have someone with a heart attack, I need to act quickly. And so if I can say code STEMI, which is like a heart attack, I could take a picture of that EKG. That EKG through the app will go through all the providers, go to the hospital administrator to hold the bed, go to the cardiologist, say, yeah, that is correct, call in the team to come in just with my voice saying, hey, I have a code STEMI. And so that action command is what I'm showing you. So that kind of things, they already have this paired to Uber, so if this presentation goes really bad, I can call Uber, and he'll be out there waiting for me. And then, so it's pretty neat. These glasses, there's other glasses out there that if I don't want to memorize my speech, I could have glasses on and the teleprompter is in the lens and you can't see them. So then as I'm speaking, it's listening to me and it's changing where I'm at and pausing for my pauses and then it continues. It's pretty neat. But in the healthcare world or in your world, how nice it would be if you needed some information and you just speak it and then it shows it to you right there and then you can keep working. And so that will be here pretty shortly. My business partner made this, and the skinny is this. We're putting AI vision in patients' rooms, and you're like, ooh, that sounds horrible, but it's just a stick figure is what the AI sees, doesn't see the face. And it's all about prevention of falls. So if someone is at risk for falls, say they had major surgery or they have dementia or something that they're at risk that they fall. As you know, if they fall, their higher mobility goes up. And so this camera is literally watching the patient, and before the patient is out of bed, it predicts and calls or texts the doctor or the nurse saying, hey, patient in 104 is about to get out of their bed and they may fall, so you need to go in there. And then the AI will talk to them to say, hey, please don't get out of bed. And this kind of device, our goal is to have it in the homes by next summer. And the main thing there is, as we have an aging population, we want to take care of our loved ones. They don't want to go to a nursing home. We may not want to send them to a nursing home. We want to be there, but we have to work. We have to be somewhere else. So if we had this type of device that could text you to say, hey, mom didn't get up, or hey, dad didn't take his meds this morning, or hey, you know what, took the meds twice today, our sensor captured that. Or they fell. We'd be able to capture that and call you and tell you. That last slide, there's this thing called Hume AI. And again, this is more on the doctor side. Some of the doctors, unfortunately, don't have empathy. They don't have that human touch. So I'm arguing, saying, hey, we need to train our doctors and have this kind of device. What this does is it analyzes your face. It does over 53 emotions of if you're angry, upset, and it's literally reading you. At the same time, it's also looking at your voice, if it changes, and it's analyzing it. Here's a quick example.
Hello, my name is Dr. Harvey Castro. Here I'm going to show I'm smiling.
And then you can see the different
I'm going to be
ranges.
depressed. Just quiet.
And then you can actually talk to it.
Hi, my name is Harvey. What is your name?
Well, hey there, Harvey. I am Evie, an empathic voice interface. It's great to meet you. I am sensing you're feeling quite
And then over there on the
happy
far right,
and
you can see
excited
where my
with a
emotions
hint
are,
of surprise.
and it's reading
Am I
it.
picking up on that, right?
Hey, you got me pegged, man.
And
Good.
I'm going to skip to the next one. Now, this one's another device that'll be out this summer, and I know I wanted Sashi to see this one.
So imagine that you're sitting in a noisy restaurant and you're having trouble hearing your friends across the table. Hey, can you enhance the sounds that are right in front of me? And can you turn that baby down? That's better. And I'm still having a little trouble hearing Pedro. Can you isolate Pedro for me?
Y después manejamos al
That's
lago
perfect.
que estaba
And
arriba en la
my
montaña,
Spanish is a little rusty. Can I hear
que
Pedro
fue
but in
muy lindo
English?
también. And at the end of the trip, we came back to the city to visit the historic center. where
Michelle,
all the
close all
characters
programs.
are,
So that'll be here this
These
year.
are
And
not
it's-
just-
And it's literally that device. I'm going to go back to the front, but real quick, as this technology is exponential, there's no way no one can keep up with this. I'm going to encourage you to follow different people, follow people on the right, the left. One of my friends sent me this slide. He thinks I'm right kind of there in the middle, so I may not be a bad one to follow. I created this cheat sheet for healthcare, just to how to use AI in healthcare. They're free, and it's on my website. I made this song for you guys, believe it or not. I put in the name of the conference, the topic, and then we'll play a little bit for you. Just to show you, it's all AI generated. It did it within 30 seconds, and you can prompt it. You can change the music.
on the stage, bright light. Future
So it's just
vision
kind of
stuck
fun.
in AI.
So I just wanted to show you proof of concept. On the website, there's a little widget on the far left. I took all the books, all my presentations, anytime I've been interviewed, and I created that little widget that is right there. And literally, you can have a conversation with me. So if you're on your computer, you can say, hey, what does Harvey think about AI in healthcare? Or what does he think about this new technology? If I have said it, it'll be on there. If I've never talked about it, it won't hallucinate because I have it strict where that I have, which is pretty neat. Now, this is just kind of fun, and we'll do this video and another, and then we'll go to the front. And so this was just for fun. I just deep faked my face. And then my kids actually love this one because they never seen Dad dance like that. So at the end of the day, let's enjoy AI. Let's have some fun with it. And then I'm going to go back to the first real quick, unless you guys can go to the very front. And then let's do that first slide, because you guys have to see that one, I promise. Okay, there it goes. And then we'll
listen to me very
and then
carefully.
the next one.
That's one of my mission parameters. I'll drive. Trust me.
And then this is from my
As a
friend
patient
Dylan.
advocate, I'm excited about the potential of AI in healthcare. I enjoy following Dr. Castro on LinkedIn.
Accurate early disease detection, groundbreaking.
This technology promises a future where care is customized to each individual's unique health profile. Keep up the good work, Dr. Castro.
Yes, predictive diagnostics within reach.
Thanks to innovation in this field, personalized healthcare is becoming accessible to all. I'm happy to see that Dr. Castro wrote the first book on ChatGPT and healthcare back in 2022.
No more injuries undetected?
Hi, as an AI researcher, I collaborate with medical experts, like Dr. Castro, to develop technologies that predict health risks, personalize therapies, and support surgical procedures. Our aim is to leverage AI to not only improve health outcomes, but also to save lives.
VideoGen AI Medical Imaging Transformed.
The new iPhone 18 will leverage small language models. I am excited to see what applications Dr. Castro will create. He has several Apple Vision Pro applications out.
Yeah, I had to show you that. And then we'll go to the last. And then I went a little fast because I want to make sure we hit Q&As, because this is such a deep subject and I want to make sure I answer your questions. So maybe you can skip to the end for me over there in the back. If not, I got like 30 more to scroll. We're almost there. And then I'll get my carpal tunnel. Wait. Can you hit that one for me back there? And then we'll do Q&A after this. And if it's not playing, it's all good. Is it? If not, no worries. It may be the file. So with that, I just want to thank you for your time. And that video, all it says is the iconic "I'll be back" from Arnold. So it's pretty cool. So anyway, so thank you guys. So we definitely have time, and I know there's questions, and then I know I'll have some hate mail also. So either one, I'm good. We can answer them. Feel free to ask anything. Anything. I know I talked to a lot of you guys last night, and we talked about it over dinner, so it was kind of fun. What questions do you have? What concerns? Any? And I know there's a mic floating, so just raise your hand, and then the mic will come. And there's one right there. One brave soul.
Do you see any concern with like deepfake models in the healthcare industry where people are abusing it with false information while utilizing doctors' faces?
Yeah, for sure. I created a safe word at my home for that reason, so that if my mom or my wife or kids get a call and it's a deep fake with my face and voice, because I know I've cloned it myself, that if my family thinks that's suspicious, that there's a safe word. I think right now we're about to start seeing even more fakes. I would think within a week of the election, they're going to start pushing all these deep fakes of the candidates to make sure that one side or the other is swayed for the election. As far as patients, I am concerned because, like I said earlier, I'm more concerned about the patients than I am about the doctors. The doctors, they know, they have a license, they do it, but patients, unfortunately, don't know. Some of the patients don't know this technology exists. Second, I'm just worried for them if they start pushing XY drug or say, your doctor said this and they didn't. And so that is a really big concern. I think the best way to beat it is to educate, because that's why I showed you some of those slides. If you didn't know that existed, you wouldn't know. But now that you know, you're like, whoa. My angle is you're going to hear tons of bad out there. Let me at least show you on the positive how we can use this in healthcare, how I can do my own deepfake to teach my patients. But good question. So number one is education. We need to educate our patients. Good question.
I have one more.
Yeah, ask away.
So how do you see utilization of AI over the course of the next couple months or years grow? I know ChatGPT, for example, is only trained on data from 2021. So the fidelity of data that people are getting when they input or talk to an AI model can be sometimes outdated. So how do you see that adoption grow over the course of the next couple of years? And what do you think we can do as patients or people in the industry to help grow that adoption?
Good question. I'm trying to think not to go into the weeds. The answer is yes. AI has a limitation, so it only knows up to where the data was trained. So if you say, who won the World Cup, it may not know. Some of that information, obviously, in healthcare, we need to keep up to date. The way around it is called a RAG model, and the skinny is this. All it is I create a database, just like I showed you in my example of my digital twin that has all my information. I just do that, and instead of you talking to ChatGPT, you're talking to ChatGPT plus that database. So let's just say we're doing automation, billing, and then it's a bot that's up to date, and when the patient asks, it's only that particular database. That would be one way around it. As far as what you guys can do is come to conferences like this, be educated, learn from each other, because the only way of doing better, I mentioned this last night, is we need to all increase our AI IQ, or in healthcare, our healthcare IQ. The more we know, the more we can start preventing, the more we can start being proactive in this field, and that's really important. It's a good question. Another question?
So my question is more geared towards the meta glasses that you were showing and saying that how do you protect against PII and PHI violations, especially in this space, if everyone's wearing these glasses, right?
Yeah.
Even today, technically, I have PII on my chest here, and you said you were using it to read EKG, but only if there's no PHI or PII.
Yeah.
Sometimes you will see patients named in the room or
Yeah.
something like that. How can you protect against that in real time?
Yeah, no, perfect question. When I was in med school, it became a habit to always fold the top of the EKG, so we'd only get the strip, so there would never be any issues. But you're right, with everybody recording, seeing, I'm actually recording this session right now, and I'm going to make a podcast and give it to them. So I'll do his session and mine, and it'll be two AI voices talking. But to answer your question, the way to do it would be as follows. You could capture that data, create it under encrypted server, so that way that's HIPAA compliant, or make sure that it's HIPAA compliant. And then what you could do is, when that information is coming down for the EKG that has all the PI patient identifiers, there's 18 HIPAA patient identifiers. Think of it, it comes down to, say, your device. And if your device has that small language model, then all the processing is happening on that device. It never goes to the cloud. It never goes anywhere else. And then you can even take it a next step further, that when it sees those, that it scrambles that, encrypts it on the device, and now you can do it, and now it's not violating anything because it's never leaving the cloud, it's being encrypted, and it's all being, if anything does go to the cloud, that's, if you look later at Apple Intelligence, they're doing something like that. They're putting all that information on their device, and then if that's not enough, the rendition will be it'll go to another AI. But then you, as a consumer, have to say yes or no. So really good question. Very good. And I know I saw another question or comment. But we got some time. Feel free. Anything. Yes, sir.
Because we're dealing within a healthcare model, regulatory bodies always have a tendency to kind of jump in and kind of take action upon that. What do you see right now as far as regulatory review and panels that are putting in their 2 cents on how things are going to move forward?
Yeah, that's a really interesting one. In my brain, I divide this topic and this industry into 3 areas. What is Europe doing? Because that's the GDPR. They're in some opinion, the strictest. This is what's going on. Then after that, I'm like, what's California doing? Because then that's second. And then third is, what's the rest of the U.S. doing? It's a balance. If you go too strict, we won't be able to do some of these things that are helping our patients, and we kind of stifle our innovation. But then if we let this go too much, then someone like me can do crazy stuff like I just showed you, and I just did it on my own. I didn't have anybody help me. So where's the balance? And I think ChatGPT specifically is being proactive, and a lot of these companies are meeting regularly with the government, and they're having literally talks almost every day to see where this needs to go, because they're trying to shape the legislation. I know California recently, a judge ruled against deepfakes, saying that you can do deepfakes, that it's a freedom of speech. But then at the same time, on my side, I wouldn't want you to stop that, because if I'm helping my patients, I want to be able to do it. But at the same time, there's horror stories out there of people sending money because they think their loved one's in jail and they got a deep fake voice and they send all this stuff away. And so, where do we find that balance? Here in the States, to answer your question, the executive order has started some of that legislation. The government is trying to create a task force, or has a task force towards this. I know since it's an election year, they're really not doing much right now, but I know come January, things will start going. But that's the question. Will industry push the government a certain way, or will legislation be more? So it's that fine balance. I know that AI is a competitive advantage right now for the rest of the world. So the government in the States is trying their best to push the capitalism, push that to go forward, because we're, as a country, not wanting other countries to have that technology. So we're creating our own chips. We're going to start creating infrastructure. So in my mind, I don't see the government really pushing too hard on it, just because they really want to see that innovation. And it'll be kind of the self-police. But you saw how social media went with the self-police. Good question. So we have time for one more. Yes, sir.
If you're actively practicing, can you talk us through what you are using, what you're actively using, how that's helping?
Yeah. I'm really big about communication. I know that sounds weird, but the number one thing when we talk to that tunnel vision example that I gave, if you don't understand what I said or you turned off, how do I communicate? How do I get your health better? And so I'm personally, if I have some patients from other parts of the world, that their culture is from X or Y, then I try my best to take their discharge instructions. I have the luxury of having my own model that's under my own server, that doesn't go to ChatGPT, that is all inside of mine, and it's on my laptop. So no one can do it unless they took my laptop and figured out my password. And what I can personally do is I can mold their discharge instructions to what their culture is, what language. Case in point, I'm in Texas, and so everybody loves football. But if I say the word football to someone in Europe, they're thinking that's soccer. And so examples like that. If I'm trying to take care of your healthcare, the more I can change in the communication. That's why I gave that example of the kid's discharge instruction, because I know that if I can prevent a child from having an asthma attack, because now they understand, now I'm actually helping them. And so those are the kind of tools that I'm able to do pretty quickly and easily.
And that's prep work. Is there anything actively, like while you're seeing a patient, that you have been able to use?
That's a good one. No, I'm doing a lot of things on the back end. When I'm in front, it's just, again, the time thing. If I had an AI model running simultaneously, I could probably do more. It just takes extra steps. And so, but that's a good point. I think at the end of the day, my idea is just to inspire and give ideas and plant the seeds so that other companies can create these products and develop and help patients. So that was good. So thank you guys. I appreciate it.